As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I am joining Shobhit University. What about you?
Very good evening. Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, deemed to be University, Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies. Extend greetings to all the participants from India and abroad who are attending today's national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture. This webinar series is being hosted on every Thursday at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. IST, but today it is rescheduled at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. due to unavoidable reason. Today, 28th January 2021, the webinar topic is on adoption of Flexi rubber check dam technology, potential benefit for farmers in rainfed and coastal agro-ecosystems, a topic of the need of the hour. On behalf of the Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, the faculty members of the university, and on my behalf, and as Professor Emeritus and Chairman of the Center of Excellence, Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, and Center for Agribusiness Management and Disaster Studies, welcome our today's guest speaker, Dr. K. Rajkumar, Director, Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Association, which is being renamed as Indian Rubber Materials Research Institute very shortly. A world-class accredited lab affiliated to Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Thane, Maharashtra. So far, under this webinar series, the university has organized 17 webinars on the topic: role of agricultural cooperative societies and e-governance, blockchain technology-based fishery value chain, a self-contained village, a felt need of the day, spices informatics network value chain, Landana camera, a camouflaged treasure trove, smart hill agriculture, Mara mobile, Mara marketing, integrated mariculture, aquaponics, and precision agriculture, MAPA biofarms for income revolution, smart tribal agriculture, optimizing value chain, digital agri-tech and industry perspective, land resources information system in India present and road ahead, weather decision technologies for increasing farm income, big data in smart farming, sustainable soil and land management for climate smart agriculture, understanding market dynamics for increasing farm income, role of technologies in mitigating crop risk, how to generate additional profit via simple, attractive approaches in farm produce. Today is the 18th edition of this national webinar series, which will be addressed by a distinguished rubber material research scientist of the country, Dr. Kasilingam Rajkumar, on the topic adoption of Flexi rubber check dam technology, potential benefit for farmers in rainfed and coastal agro ecosystems. You please see the keywords of this talk: adoption. Adoption of what? Flexi rubber check dam technology. For what? potential benefits for farmers in rainfed agro-ecosystems and coastal agro-ecosystems. As you know, agriculture sector is the foundation of the Indian economy. It employs more than 50% of the Indian workforce and contributes almost 17 to 18% of its GDP. At present, agricultural livelihoods are being severely impacted world over as a result of anthropogenic global warming and climate change. India's labor-intensive and subsistence-based agriculture sector is particularly vulnerable to this development. Climate change has both the direct and indirect effects on agriculture productivity, including changing rainfall patterns, severe drought, flooding, and changes in the geographical redistribution of pests and diseases. Indian farming community comprises of about 14 crore farmers, of which 85% farmers have small and marginal farm size operational holdings. Farmer needs timely, location specific, and personalized information for effective control on their production, risk, and then market their produce to identified market opportunities. Many national level programs, Digital India, Make in India, Skill India, Startup India, Stand Up India, have faced operational difficulties for its impact at farm level and farmers level, and that too at small and marginal farmers. Step towards Indian agricultural reforms. The Doubling Farmers' Income by 2022 report 2018 has recommended in its chapter 10 of the volume 12B 7 mission mode project for introducing digital technology in agriculture. Let me read out the 7 mission mode project as recommended by the Doubling Farmers' Income by 2022 report. Digitalized agriculture, digital technology and innovation in agriculture, Digital India, Make in India, Skill India, and Stand Up India program for transformational reforms in agriculture sector in 3 broad categories: smart irrigated farming, smart rainfed farming, and smart tribal farming. Digitalized agromet advisories and agricultural risk management system. Third is digitalized agricultural resources information system and micro level planning for achieving smart farming and smart village. Digitalized value chain for about 400 agriculture commodities. Digitalized access to inputs, technology, knowledge, skill, agricultural finance, credit, marketing, and agribusiness management to farmers. Digitalized integrated land and water management system. It is the 6th important recommendation of the Doubling the Farmers' Income, by 2022 committee report. Digitalized integrated land and water management system, per drop more crop, and smart rainfed agro-ecosystems. And the last is digitalized farm health management for reduction of farmers' loss. How to have an integrated farmer health, farm health, which consists of plant health, animal health, fishery health, soil health, and water health. And there are 3 farm laws which were enacted during the year 2020. Farmer Produce, Trade and Commerce, Promotion and Facilitation Act, Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act, and Essential Commodities Act, mainly to have farmers' income risen. And it is for income revolution. These 3 farm laws Farm Act, which were enacted during 2020. And then in the month of May, the government also has launched Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. This is a vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, of making India a self-reliant nation rested on 5 I's: intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation, based on 5 pillars: economy, infrastructure, system, 21st century technology driven, vibrant demography, and demand, whereby the strength of our demand and supply chain should be utilized to full capacity. And following this, in the third tranche of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture program was also announced. The agriculture sector was provided with 1.5 lakh crore as a booster, and 1 lakh crore to agriculture cooperative societies, farmer producer organizations, and startups for boosting farm gate infrastructure. Farm gate infrastructure, which includes rubber check dam for water conservation and water utilization throughout the year. Flexible rubber check dams as a farm gate infrastructure under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. This is what I would like to underline and give emphasize. We have to create infrastructure, farm infrastructure, and one such infrastructure, previously it was called check dam, and which is constructed through steel, soil, and so on and so forth, cement, but now it is through adopting the rubber formation, establishing or constructing rubber check dams. It's a technology, it's an environmental technology to be adopted. This technology is essential for the farmers of Rainfed agro-ecosystems and coastal agro-ecosystems. I'm very happy that today's speaker, Dr. Rajkumar, has given this topic title to motivate the rural youths to adopt this technology for a potential benefit for the farmers in Rainfed and coastal agro-ecosystems. What is Rainfed agro-ecosystems? In India, about 60% of the total net sown area comes under rainfed lands. Rainfed area can be broadly split up into dry lands. Two. One is dry land. Another one is dry land which receives less than 750 millimeter of rain a year. Another is rainfed area which receives more than 750 millimeter rain in a year annually. Rainfed crops account for 48% area under food crops and 68% under non-food crops. Government of India has established National Rainfed Area Authority in 2006 to give focused attention to rainfed area of the country. According to Dr. Ashok Dalwai, Chief Executive Officer, National Rainfed Area Authority, need to do more research and development in rainfed agriculture and bring in more policy perspective. Even though rainfed agriculture contributes to 60% of the value of agriculture GDP of India, there is a clear-cut bias towards irrigated areas when it comes to public investment in agriculture in the country. This is what The CEO of National Rainfed Area Authority, Dr. Ashok Dalwai, has said it in one of the recent conference. Watershed management is the measure is adopted in the rainfed agriculture, in rainfed area for water harvesting. It is only a management technique available for rainfed agriculture. The whole country has been divided into 6 river resources regions, 35 basins, 112 catchments, 550 subcatchments, and 3,237 watersheds according to all India soil survey and land use studies. And then mini watersheds and micro watersheds. Watershed development has become a trusted tool for the overall development of the village and people living within the watershed area. This is with respect to rainfed water, rainfed agro-ecosystems. Watershed management technique is the only technique available. Water conservation. Coastal agro-ecosystem. India has a coastal line of about 7,500 kilometers, distributed along 9 coastal areas, states, 2 groups of islands, Andaman Nicobar Island and Lakshadweep and Minika Islands, and 4 union territories, Daman Diu, and Pondicherry, Puducherry, and these are all in the union territories. And the 4 other 2 are Lakshadweep and Minika Islands and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. High rainfall to the tune of 2,800 to 3,000 millimeters, and all having fertile soils. The coastal ecosystem of the country, especially the east coast, is more prone for the natural resources like cyclone, tsunamis, sea rise, and etc. So, 2 agro-ecosystems, rainfed and coastal, for the farmers living in these agro-ecosystems. Today, Dr. Rajkumar is going to talk about how to give potential benefit for the farmers through this technology by adopting Flexi rubber check dam technology. Check dam normally made of steel, concrete, stone, and soil or vegetation. There are challenges and opportunities. Check dams are small barriers built across the direction of water flow or shallow rivers, on shallow rivers and streams for the purpose of water harvesting. Small dams retain excess water flow during monsoon in a suitable catchment area adjoining the structure. Water pressure created in the catchment area helps force the impounded water into the ground. The major environmental benefit of check dam is the replenishment of nearby groundwater reserves and wells. The water entrapped by the dam, surface and subsurface, although primarily intended for use in irrigations during the monsoon and later during the dry season, but can also be used for livestock and domestic needs. At the same time, these check dams are rigid one, and they cannot allow more water to flow over it at times of heavy flood or runoff, or store sufficient runoff to conserve the rainfall at lean season for use by farmer for different rabi crops like pulses, oil seeds, and vegetable. This is one of the challenge which we have with the normal check dams. Now let us come to the Flexi rubber check dam. Is considered as an effective water management technology. Main advantage of the rubber dams are its ability for better water conservation, soil erosion control, and flood control. Additional water storage in the range of 4,500 to 10,000 cubic meter is available for irrigation. It also has a dam reservoir for storing water during scanty rainfall period, so that supplemental irrigation can be provided to the crops for enhancing production and productivity. This technology has the potential to benefit farmers in rainfed agro-ecosystems as well as in the coastal areas susceptible for sea water ingress, natural calamities like cyclone, flood, high tide, and tsunami, etc. In the state of Kerala, coal lands of Thrissur, which is one of the largest highly productive and threatened wetlands covering an area of 13,640 hectares, are a classic example of below sea level farming. In the existing system of water regulation, temporary structures made of soil and locally available materials such as bamboo and wooden shutters are used, which is expensive and requires a skilled manpower to operate. During flood and high tide, it can prevent salt water intrusion into the freshwater system. It is an eco-friendly technology which has already been implemented successfully in many states in India. Rubber dams are also have been in use in Japan, Austria, Philippines, Australia, USA, China, Russia, Thailand, and Canada, etc., etc. Role of Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Association, with a view to increase water use efficiency and reduce excessive dependence on monsoon in the country. Scientists have developed indigenous, cost-effective rubber dams from rubber fabric composite sheets for watersheds. According to research at Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Association, who designed it, a rubber dam is a textile reinforced rubber bag, where rubber acts as an adhesive and waterproofing element, helping release or delivery of stored water during drought by its easy deflation. Indian agriculture still continues to be dependent on monsoon, and farming being the principal means of livelihood, our agriculture strategy should be pro-nature and pro-small farmer oriented. The implementation of proposed rubber dam will enhance not only water conservation but also water use efficiency, which in Indian agriculture is one of the lowest in the world. That is, water use efficiency is the lowest in the world. And despite the country having the largest irrigation infrastructure. They also say that impact of adoption of flexible rubber check dams, which they say adoption of technology can increase the crop production, crop diversification, and cropping intensity, and in turn enhance the rural income. Rubber check dam market is rising in the world. Thousands of rubber dams have been installed worldwide for various purposes: irrigation, water supply, power generation, tidal barrier, flood control, environmental improvement, and recreation. With this introduction, let us now turn to the address by Dr. K. Rajkumar on the important topic: adoption of Flexi rubber check dam technology, potential benefit for farmers in rainfed and coastal agro ecosystems. Today's topic will motivate and galvanize the participants watching our telecast through facebook.com/Shobhit University India or youtube.com/Shobhit University in for establishing agri-tech startups in farm as a business, which can be more than 6,500 agri-startups, one per block, or even about 2.25 lakhs agri-startups, one per each Gram Panchayat. Let me introduce Dr. Rajkumar, our guest speaker today. Dr. Kasi Lingam Rajkumar is currently working as Director of Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Association, Mumbai, which is a central government affiliated research laboratory in India, and it is a premier polymer research and testing laboratory accredited as per ISO/IEC 17025 laboratory management systems. Dr. Rajkumar has secured his post graduation in chemical sciences from Central University Pondicherry MTech in Rubber Technology from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, MBA in Operations Management from Sikkim Manipal University, and PhD Polymer Chemistry from Baladiyar University, Coimbatore, India. Dr. Rajkumar has over 22 years of experience in research and development in the field of rubber and allied technology. He actively involved in the indigenization of rubber products for various applications and truly contributing for Make in India and Atmanirbhar mission. Dr. Rajkumar is the chairman of our Indian Bureau of Indian Standards, PCD 29 Committee for Standardization, and member ISO TC 45, ASTM, Bureau of Indian Standards, PCD 13, TED 7, ME 17, and PCD 28. Dr. Rajkumar is the recipient of several awards, including ISO TC 45, Long Service Award 2019 for contribution to international standardization, and UPL Shrimati Chandra or Sharaf Chemcom Distinguished Speaker Award 2019. By Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers. Dr. Rajkumar has widely traveled multiple times to various countries in the capacity as international expert, trainer, which includes USA, Germany, France, Italy, Japan, Belgium, Netherlands, China, Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, South Africa, Guatemala, Indonesia, etc. Dr. Rajkumar is a NABL lead assessor and certified ISO 9001 auditor. Dr. Rajkumar, we welcome you to the national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture. Please address to the audience. Over to Dr. Kasilingam Rajkumar.
Thank you, sir, for a nice introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizer of this national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture, Honorable Patron and Vice Chancellor of Sri Kunwar Shekhar Vijendra Sahab, of Honorable Vice Chancellor of Shobhit University, Honorable Vice Chancellor and Professor Moni Madaswamy is chairman of CAIRS and CADMS of Shobhit Deemed University, Meerut, and former Director General of National Informatics Center, Government of India, New Delhi. At the outset, I would like to thank that the Shobhit University for selecting a right topic on Atmanirbhar agriculture, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture, which is need of the hour, and IRMRA, Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Association, an autonomous body under DPIIT of Government of India, Ministry of Commerce Industry, who is doing an interdisciplinary research program in rubber technology, wherein we had a chance to work with Agricultural Ministry as well, and we also tried to contribute something to the agricultural sector. And before I get into my topic of presentation, we have a small AV of about IRMRA for the benefit of audience who would be able to understand about Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Associations. Soon it will be named after Indian Rubber Materials Research Institute in a very short while. I'd like to play the AV, please.
Indian Rubber Manufacturers Research Association, popularly known as IRMRA, is India's premier rubber R&D institute and was established in 1958. It is currently functioning under the administrative control of the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. The vision of the founders, coupled with the spirited efforts of successive teams, has helped it to grow up beyond imagination. Today, it is an internationally recognized center of excellence for both tire and non-tire sectors in India. With the aim of providing a complete solution under one roof, IRMRA has diversified and expanded its services to cater to the contemporary needs of rubber and allied industry. With the growth of Indian rubber industry, IRMRA has grown proportionally and extended its full support to the industry. IRMRA's portfolio of services for the rubber industry include research and product development, research, testing and certification, industrial consulting services, and training and manpower development. Research and product development. IRMRA has a capability to design and develop rubber products as per industry requirements. It is also involved in sponsored research activities. It has been playing a crucial role in developing critical rubber products for various sectors like defense, nuclear, oil and gas, railway, agriculture, and many more. Research, testing, and certification. IRMRA has state-of-the-art facilities for carrying out testing of tire and non-tire rubber products as per national and international standards. The laboratory has been accredited or certified by multiple national and international accreditation and certification bodies. The lab is well equipped with the latest equipment to conduct physical, chemical, dynamic, and analytical tests. It has extensive product testing and validation facilities for hoses, belts, oil seals, gaskets, diaphragms, sealants, cables, electric gloves, condoms, rubber mats, and other products. Facility for dynamic testing of vibration isolators, mounts, and bushes under various simulated, dynamic, and environmental conditions is an integral part of the setup. Tire research and testing. The Center of Excellence for Tire Research, Testing and Certification is well equipped with all facilities to fulfill the Government of India's mandatory quality order certification. It is the first center in Asia to have aligned with international laboratories in Europe to fulfill the need of tire labeling certification. Training and manpower development. Manpower resources, the most important of all resources. IRMRA has been offering its training and skill development programs to the rubber industry through its full-fledged residential training facilities. Highly qualified and experienced IRMRA faculty imparts theoretical and practical training to industry participants. IRMRA is also actively involved in Skill India program in collaboration with Rubber Skill Development Council, RSDC, for rubber community. Collaborations. IRMRA has collaborated with international institutions like LRCCP from France for joint research, testing, and other services. It has added a new dimension to its area of services by collaborating with Mumbai University to offer a 2-year full-time postgraduate program in industrial polymer chemistry. It has also collaborated with several premier academic and research institutes for conducting value-added interdisciplinary research. Expansion. IRMRA is striving to increase its membership base by reaching out to wider audiences and providing customer-centric services. It has decided to create a branch network in India and abroad. It will also be adding new services from time to time to cater to the need of the hour. IRMRA has formulated its Vision 2030, based on which roadmaps, strategies, and action plans are being fine-tuned and implemented. It has been able to achieve all this through its dedicated and highly motivated team. It will always walk that extra mile for serving Indian rubber industry and help it achieve global competitiveness. IRMRA is moving ahead with its most cherished values of fairness, integrity, reliability, and excellence. IRMRA, helping the rubber world for building a better future.
Thank you, Mr. Manish, for playing the video. That was about small clip about IRMRA. It is always said that like seeing is believing. So I thought that like a small video is played so that it has been, over the last 6 decades that IRMRA has been built up. As you all know, that IRMRA is formed in 1958. It is as old as DRDO, as old as BARC, as old as IIT Bombay. I can say that proudly that those days the visionaries thought that even a rubber is a material which is equivalently that defense as well as nuclear establishment. It is equally that much need was established for the research need and it is established basically. While I congratulate the Shobhit University Center of Excellence and Professor Moni for having organized such a wonderful series of webinars during this pandemic. Though normally we used to have 1 or 2 days actual physical meetings in a conference, maybe organized in a hotel or a place like conference, where we used to meet the people and discuss a lot of topics are organized. Whereas this series is something different, but I like the approach that this has been saved and telecast in the Facebook and other YouTube live, so that it is forever, it is always be there, and anybody can always watch whenever they have time. Whereas in the case of conference, it is limited to those people who are registered and at that particular period of availability, and then they take some souvenirs and photographs. That's it basically. Whereas this particular series are documented, and it is during this pandemic period, definitely most people who are staying in the home under lockdown also able to understand and watch this particular topic of agricultural related series basically. So I am very glad to be part of such a wonderful series of webinar, especially the topic on agricultural background. I being part of a farmer background, my father and my family is also a part of agricultural background. We understand the difficulties whenever there is a storm or a cyclone or even a heavy rain, how the crops get carried away by the flood, in spite of the entire effort was put for so many months, is totally get spoiled out of rain. Sometimes it also happens that there was no rain and there is no water and there is no cultivations. So the farmers have lots of difficulties. They always feel they depend on rain, at the same time not very heavy rain, so it is a moderate rain, and sometimes it is so natural calamity which we cannot avoid, which is not possible to stop it. That created lots of problem, and we have been observing every year that there are a couple of districts and states are suffering in a seasonal way, that because of the cyclone and weather conditions, the entire area is getting carried away by such kind of problems, natural calamity, and that leads to a big loss to the farmers as well. So can I get the sharing of my PPT, please? So on these situations, IRMREA was able to conceive a proposal on development of Flexi rubber dam, which had given me an opportunity to work as a consortium principal investigator along with our co-partners in different states as well as in different ministry. We together we all have indigenized this check dam, which was sponsored by the Government of India, Ministry of Agriculture through World Bank under the National Agriculture Innovation Project, NEIP, sometime back, some few years back, which we continue to explore and take the research further on, the scaling up to make this particular mission of Atmanirbhar agricultural sector, through which that a farmer's income can be enhanced and rather doubled by 2022. So it is a very important topic, in which the topic was selected is an adoption of Flexi rubber dam technology, a potential benefits for farmers in Rainfed area and coastal ecosystem. I would like to thank Professor Moni for setting the tone for the day, wherein that he has given lots of statistics, though I am not an agricultural scientist, which enabled for me to understand how many districts and how we have lots of coastal areas, wherein that basically such check dams can be very helpful for helping the farmers to enhance their income basically. Next slide, please. So I have prepared my slides in such a way that you can understand the topic in different ways, wherein like my most emphasis will be how a check dam is prepared with reference to the check rubber dam, Flexi dam, and how it can be applied, which are the areas, and how do we get the beneficial basically. Mr. Manish, can I have next slide? Yeah. So the coverage of presentations about IRMREA, you already had a small AV, and I will also give a brief about rubber industry, because whenever I talk, I always give us little statistics about Indian rubber industry versus the world, so that any entrepreneurs under the Startup India or Make in India program, and they can be associated with IRMREA, so that we are always part of pleasure in associating with Indian rubber industry to promote the sector and increase the per capita utilities of rubber industry. And so then introduction about the Flexi rubber dam, the rubber dam technology developed by IRMREA and validation and international scenario, though Professor Moni has also given some insights about those areas. Then scale of technology available at IRMREA and with Bridge Bandara, then importance of Flexi dam in farmers and enhancement of income, where in the Rainfed area and coastal agro-ecosystem, and then the formally conclusion with the question answer system basically. Next slide, please. So as you would have seen in the so-called the AV, basically IRMREA is established in the way back 1958 by formally in association with CSIR along with a few members of Indian rubber industry. They thought that this is needed, and then it was officially transferred under the Ministry of Industry from CSIR in 1978, and then ever since we are working under the administrative control of Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and it is registered under the Society of Registration Act, and it is also recognized by DSIR and Ministry of Science and Technology. So the main objective of the institution is to promote small, medium and large scale rubber industries and also the allied sectors in the field of rubber and allied materials and conduct research and development activities and train their manpower under so-called today's Skill India, basically. Next slide, please. So the main activities are of IRMRA is basically covering major testing and evaluation and certifications, research and development, indigenization of rubber components, consultancy services, of course including the management consultancy as well as technical consultancy. Under HRD system, we have training programs, workshops for industry, as well as recently we also started the academic courses. We also do conduct inspections and evaluation of vendors and suppliers and third-party inspection services for the products and services. Under undertaking various sponsored research programs, which is the development of rubber dam is one of the sponsored research and development program. And development of the rubber products. We have indigenized more than 3,000 rubber components, rubber products, which were imported from various parts of the country, world actually. So especially for the nuclear research purpose, also for defense applications, we have indigenized, and the need of the country was fulfilled by way of developing such products, basically. We also do conduct organizing the conferences and seminars. We have almost 23 conferences over last 62 years, and every year we conduct 3 to 4 seminars. So more than 300 seminars we organized for the benefit of members and sectors, basically. Next slide, please. Of course, being a research laboratory and testing laboratory, we need to have a demonstration of the quality credentials. Otherwise, the customers would not be, satisfied with the requirements, because it is essential to have the quality credentials to demonstrate the competency of the internal laboratory team as well as the capability to undertake such activities, so that the receivers from the customer's point of view, international level, they are acceptable. So we have significantly all the required credentials of quality, including the enable accreditations, ISO 9001 certifications, recognition by the Bureau of Indian Standards for laboratory under the quality control order, mandatory certification, that is ISA marking requirements for the rubber products testing, the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, DSAR recognition as a organization of CIRO. Then also the Director General of Mines and Safety, wherein that critical products like hoses and belts are used in the mining industry, which are also tested by IRMRA under the mandatory class, and we certify them so that the safety of the mining workers are ensured. Then Center of Military Airworthiness Certifications, CEMILAC approval for testing of rubber components involved in the aircraft components and airworthiness applications, basically. We also have the training and educations, which is certified by the NABAT, that is under the Quality Council of India, under our own same ministry, basically. As you have seen in the AV, that IRMRA is also an approved training partner of Rubber Skill Development Council, and I'm also on the board of Rubber Skill Development Council for setting various skill packages requirement for the country. Thank you. And next slide, please. And if you look at the users of the IRMRA services, basically, there are lots of manufacturers, consumers of and end users of rubber and allied products. Rubber in the sense, majorly tires, as well as non-tire sector products industries, basically, which includes belts, hoses, oil seals, diaphragms, and gaskets, and so on, basically, including the latex products like gloves, condoms, the hot water bottle. There's several rubber components are there, including the medical applications, basically. So all such products are tested at IRMRA, and also the raw materials used for such production of such major products, basically. Then the tiny and small and medium scale industries do come to IRMRA and conduct their own need of resources on a very affordable price, basically. So large industries, corporate sectors, and public sectors undertakings and multinational companies, they do come and avail our services at a very reasonable service charges, basically. Then the straight road transport undertakings, they do come for using IRMRA services. Railways, BIRC, Baba Atomic Research Center, IG CAR, Kalpakam, and all KVIC, CPPRI, all those research bodies are also utilizing our services. And ordnance factories and defense establishments of across the country, wherever they are established, they are all using IRMRA service for their testing and qualification of their rubber products being procured from various part of rubber manufacturers. Customs also using IRMRA service extensively while qualifying the customs imports and export activities. And engineering auto components manufacturers also use our services. Online, other research institutions like AREI, other certification agencies also use IRMRA services exclusively for their needs of certifications and testing purposes. And next slide, please. Now, our major clients includes all of the tire companies, which the major tire players like Apollo, Bridgestone, Seat, Goodyear, JK, Michelin, Yamaha, Pirelli, and all, and also the government, semi-government, sectors in the country, including the defense sectors, Indian Navy, Air Force, ordnance factories, BIRC, so MDL, BPCL, HPCL. So we play a very, very critical role in qualifying the rubber components which are used in different ways. It could be industry or it could be even domestic applications, wherein that like gaskets and your LPG hoses at your kitchen, which is also being tested at IRMRA. Automotive OEMs, various parts of automotive rubber components are being tested at IRMRA through various OEMs like Bajaj Auto, Eicher Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra, Maruti, Tata Motors, etc. Actually, and all the international players, including GE USA, Arson Kirloskar Group, LG, to name a few, they are all our customers to utilize the services. Next slide, please. Now, if you see the Indian rubber industry, majorly it is classified as a tire industry, automotive, OTR, aircraft, and non-tire products, belting and hoses, molded rubber goods, extruded goods. So there is a scope for Make in India. In fact, we are, though it is quite significantly growing, basically, and there is still more opportunities existing. So any investors are looking for some start of the industry is most welcome to contact IRMRA. If you look at the statistics, basically, China is 6.5 kg per capita, whereas India is 1.2 kg per capita. So you can see that China is almost 6 times of India. And similarly, the global average per capita consumption of rubber is 3.6. Even global average is 3 times than what India is consuming. That means we are not eating the rubber. We are, a lot of rubber is being, imported, exported, and all the things basically. So there is enough opportunity for India is to, make rubber and component and then export basically. So there are lots of opportunity wherein that like even the defense and railways are importing a lot of components which IRMRA can guide and help for generating an employment, generating the entrepreneurs in the field of Make in India, I think basically. So as a turnover of the rubber industry concerned, tire is about 60,000 crores and non-tire is about 30,000 crores. So almost 90,000 to 1 lakh crores is the turnover of Indian rubber industry, having small industries of about 4,000 and medium scale is about 1,500 to 1,700. Large scale is about 250 numbers of rubber industries basically. So with this statistics, of course, India is world, sixth in the world of natural rubber production basically, and India is positioned second in the consumption of natural rubber next to China basically. So these are our some of the things which I would like to emphasize, and especially the latex goods during this COVID situation. You all might be aware that like so much of rubber gloves, the medical gloves, are being used by the PP as a PP kit, and our lifesavers in the hospitals. So there was a huge demand in the gloves, which India was importing, and there were lots of demands from India also to export. So such opportunities always exist that IRMRA would be very happy to help in getting the technology and machineries and setting up the industries and all the things basically. So I thought that this is a forum to share such informations. so that the interested customers or anybody can they can contact actually. Yeah, next slide please. So if you look at here, the another part is that the tire export is happening that very good. This Indian tire industry is quite playing lots of export, is growing very well, and imports considerably is low. Okay, that shows that basically tire industry is very matured and is investing a lot of money also to grow. In fact, last 5 years, tire industry invested more than 50,000 crores in setting up expanding the capacity. Whereas if you look at the non-tire goods, basically, there is always that import is more than the export of Indian rubber goods, basically. So that means that still there is lots of opportunity to promote indigenization of for a substitute of such imports, and that would be happy to domestically consume. And also it becomes we can also export to other countries. So that means that, as I told you, we have even in the global average level, we are 1/3 of that. So that means there is enough opportunity for one to take a rubber industry career. And it is, they always say that like mitti ka sona hai, kala dhanda hai, but mitti ka sona hai. There is a good amount of profitability is also available in this case, if they do proper way of adopt the technology and things basically. But the only thing is that yes, proper technology, market segments, selection, and preparing proper way of positioning. And of course, our Indian government is very, very keen to promote the export and ban the imported goods, actually, including setting up of the quality control orders for critical components, which wherein that like IRMRA play a very critical role in standardization activities. And I'm happy that IRMRA is part of such a mission of government, basically. Next slide, please. Now, as I told you, the human resource development under the skill development, of course, conferences, organizing workshops and seminars, then the courses, skill India programs. So this has been part of IRMRA activity. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now coming to the topic, design and development of rubber dams for watersheds, basically. So as I told you, this was one of the dream project during those days. I remember in the year 2005, I had seen a small business clip in the paper, basically, wherein that like the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister has brought technology from Austria and implemented a rubber dam in Janjavati River, and by spending about 5 crore rupees. And within a year, they got the crops worth 10 crores rupees. That means with the investment of 5 crores, within a year, they got 10 crores worth. That means that basically that the water, the storage and management by way of this particular, rubber dam, Flexi rubber dam, incorporating in the storage level, it has multiplied the farmers' income, basically. So it is very easy to say that basically the farmers' income double in 2022. If we take this as one of the clue, and if we increase the check dams at every level of, every 3 to 4 kilometers of interior place where agricultural lands are there, wherever agricultural lands are there, where the irrigation is the problem, water is the problem, water scarcity is the problem, this is the way it can be done. If you see the person where that we are, next slide, no problem. Yeah. So in this case, basically, these are the first rubber check dam which we developed, and we placed in a place, in Bhuvanesh, in a place where the agricultural land was there, wherein that like they always face drought situations in the summer, basically. So that means during the the wind, the raining season, there is a lot of flood and they spoil the crops. And after the raining stops, then the water goes away to the sea, and there is no water, and obviously just a single crop they play and then they leave it, basically. So what we did, we have taken as a part of the technology evaluation study. We have, along with our one of the ICAR partner, Directorate of Water Technologies in Bhuvanesh, we have selected a place where strategically we located, and we have evaluated the effectiveness of this check dam over there. Basically, after placing that, we found that basically earlier it was only one crop they could do that. After placing this particular check dam, they could do all the 3 crops basically. So that means 2 times the farmers got benefited, and that enhanced their farmers the income and all the cases basically. And the only thing is that yes, so there has been a lot of the resistance and difficulties while so then we went and made an awareness, and then of course lots of threat like vandalism and many other things basically there was discussion. But of course once it becomes beneficial for them, definitely every farmer liked over there, and then so such dam still existing. So I think it's more than now 10 years it is being well established, and it's working very fine basically over there actually. Yeah, next slide please. So when during this particular the development of such things basically, of course lots of recognitions, and this project was well accepted by the ministry and government and the stakeholders everywhere. So we have received an award from the NAIP. Next please, next slide. The point is, yeah, next slide please. So while doing so, basically there are additional some of the other project also we have done, wherein that like how to enhance the farmers income basically. So one of the byproduct in the Coimbatore and the southern part is that the cocoa pith basically, which is to be the lots of coconut pith was they just get spoiled, or they use it just like that basically. So we try to use them as a biofillers in rubber industry. We developed as a part of this technology when we do this develop of this national agriculture project basically. And so we developed this coconut pith as a as a part of biofillers. Today the scenario worldwide basically, everybody is looking for an opportunity to replace the petroleum-based chemicals basically as a part of the eco-friendly, environmental-friendly applications. So IRMRA is one of the application which we developed, is that currently use of cocoa pith, which was used for this kind of blockage in some horticultural etc. They were using it, which we have developed the biofillers. Next slide please. You can see that we have developed the biofillers, wherein that like we try to use such fillers in various products like tiles, the chapels and some kind of rubber balls and other things basically. So this is another contribution. Though it is little bit off the topic, I would like to mention that IRMRA has done such interdisciplinary research which contributes as a part of the farmers' income enhancement basically. So the coconut pith was one of the liked product which modified pith, which was used as a biofiller in a rubber agricultural waste as a usage of things basically. So what really happened is that like agriculture waste disposal is the problem, and many other other health hazards used to be there. So we try to do such application development so that it is interdisciplinary research which come to the in fact now lots of such applications is going on, not only from cocoa pith. IRMRA is doing several such byproducts from various agricultural product basically. So we have filed several patents, and also technology is being transferred. So if any of the members are interested, they can be in touch with us for such innovative technological developments for know-how basically. Yeah. Next slide please. So now while addressing this technology development for things basically, I also would like to emphasize what is happening in the world and how we need to transform such technologies in Indian rubber, Indian industry, or Indian agricultural sectors basically. What happens basically, whatever we have done in India is only a small check dams or a small river basically, whereas in the world level there is a huge amount of a bigger level. If you see, for example, in this case, huge 35 meters, like a 2 meter height, 35 meters. So So, like that, there are several large status of such dams are installed. At not only that single, but there are multiple places. So what does it mean basically? You all know that basically there is, managing water is a resource basically. Once you leave it, it is gone basically. So if you are able to block it at a reasonably, distance, and then lock the resource and then effectively use that. The advantage of this Flexi dam, when you say the Flexi dam, it is inflatable and deflatable. What do you mean by inflatable, deflatable? Just if you imagine if it is a concrete, the concrete cannot be, the height cannot be decreased or increased later on. Whereas this inflatable dams, basically, it is useful by way of increasing or decreasing the height of the dam. So if I say it is 2 meter height right now, but it can be brought down to 1.9 meter, 1.8 meter, 1.7 meters with over the period of time. So the flow of the water over the time can be easily regulated. So what really happens, if you deflate too much, it will go all basically. But if you slowly deflate, so when the level of water is low, come down, and you can always do that. Now, when there is a cyclone or when there is a big, rainfall, heavy rainfall, then what happens basically? You can just deflate it. When you deflate it, the entire, the canal is through for flow of waters, so that it does not spill over to spoil the crops outside the canal basically. So this is the advantage. That is why it is called Flexi. So it is a flexible to increase and decrease the height, and hence it can be used for the controlling the water flow, controlling the water level, and monitoring it in all the things basically. So, and also you can use it at different locations. So whether it is a small or a big structure, impound structure, or even for watersheds or the rivers and all, like basically. So any water body where you want to have it, this can be implemented basically. And this has been well tested. There is no problem. Ecosystem is perfectly all right. There is no problem. It doesn't cause any the pollution or no poisonous anything. So we have selected the ingredients, rubber, chemicals, all those things basically in such a way that it does not system the ecosystem basically. That's the important beauty of this technology. Next slide, please. Basically. Next slide, please. So, for example, this is the one how a big dam is looked like basically. You see, in Korea, it's a 5-meter height basically. A person is standing, and then you can relate the height basically, how big it is basically. 39-meter length, then it's one of the biggest dam, which this height-wise basically. Whereas in India, we have done up to 2 to 3 meters. We have done, of course. So the difficulty is the manufacturing and bringing into the site and installation and all those things basically. But of course, now we are able to graduate slowly in the next level also. So this is one thought of I just wanted to place basically. Now it is just like pipeline. Basically, it's like pipeline wherein that like. So when you increase the height, so you can hold so much of water. Basically. This could be used as a hydro dams as well basically. So it is not just only a check dams only for the irrigation purpose. This can also be used as a hydro dams. If you are selecting a place where it can be in a the moderately in a high height level and some in hill stations where you have a place, and there if you are able to collect the water and then place it basically, it also becomes the resource source for the hydro dams basically. Hydro power generation sectors also it can be that basically. Yeah, next slide please basically. So the potential is the huge basically. So another one of the rubber dam which we can get it from the website basically is that 80 meter into 4 span. That means 320 span, 20 meter span. That's a huge basically. It is just like water bodies basically. So it's a huge. That means when you say that you are able to store so much of water, that means what happened like basically. So if you travel through so let's say for example you are going to Delhi to Chennai or to Kanyakumari, when you go, basically you find lots of free land, agricultural land, and it is available. The only thing is that, especially when you travel in the month of May and all, like basically, it is completely dry land. Whereas when you go in the winter season or the rainy season, the complete rain and water flows like that. Basically. So the only opportunity is that block the water wherever it is available, and then we can use it for the next seasonal thing basically. So as you know that like in 12 months periods, we have 4 months of rain, 4 months of winter, 4 months of summer basically. The only thing is that if you are able to manage these 4 months of rainfall with a proper way, and that definitely it can feed the water of next seasonal things basically. So this is how I want to say that basically how this Flexi rubber dam is used in various countries with a very huge water bodies basically. So the similar technology that India also should be should start basically. So it is a good worth investing that basically. So IRMREA is being a nodal rubber industry research body. We are always there to do that. We also have a good tie-up with academic civil engineering departments from IIT Bombay and other universities like Anna University. So we have experts of hydrologists and civil experts and rubber. Of course, we take care of rubber and the textile part of basically. So these are the areas where we all should work on that particular point. Basically. Next slide, please. So when we talk about that, like where is India in the technology status in India? So IRMRE, where we found that like we need to do such development of things basically. So we tried to indigenize that, and we patented the this check dam, and then of course. Now what happened basically, we are getting into the gradually next level basically. So we have done that at a very bigger level also now. So now there are a couple of inquiries. We are working with areas where 100 meters into 4 meters height. It is under discussion. Some of the so like Maharashtra government, Gujarat and Orissa. So they have shown lots of interest. Mainly there are big opportunities for NGOs, especially under the CSR project basically. So best suit for the NGOs, CSR suit. So there are several NGOs now interested to take such opportunities. And central and state government agricultural ministry, wherever the agricultural ministry is opportunity is there, and there is a possibilities including the NABARD and wherever the rural agricultural development plans basically, all such plans it can be possible basically. So central and state water resources management boards, there are several groundwater board research boards. So all such the officials, so whomever is able to meet such officials, kindly talk about this particular technology, which can be easily available in India, which can be used for the purpose of managing the resource of water basically. So though the technology is available and there is a need, of course, and there are the stakeholders who are willing to who are doing that. The only thing is that there is a need for a big coordination and see that basically. So last 10 years we have done a few projects, but what is interested is basically it should have been much more the numbers should have been much more basically, so that the resource of water can be well managed within the country, and that will definitely enhance the product, the agricultural productivity, so that the Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture can be achieved basically. Next slide please basically. Now, this is the Flexi rubber dam installed at Bhuvanesh, Orissa. Now also it is there actually. So farmers benefited by all the 3 crops through better water management actually. So it was evaluated by Directorate of Water Management, Bhubaneswar, as an ICAR institute. So it was the first ever indigenized rubber check dam developed at IRMREA and installed in Bhubaneswar basically. So anybody is in that area, they can go and have a look at it. After that, we also installed a couple of dams in Maharashtra and few dams in Gujarat, Navsari and all like basically. So recently we had a webinar call like this. There are about 20 engineers from Gujarat. They have shown the interest and have made a presentation, and they are keen to work with the IRMREA through the Gujarat government actually. So similar opportunities from other state also should take it up basically. I'm seeing that like the state of Uttar Pradesh has come out is basically recently one of the dam was in the Yamuna river. It is being put up near Rajkumar, where Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh have visited that place. So like that there is a more and more need for such opportunities to be explored at every level to create this resource managing system, so that the water is well managed actually. Next slide please. What are these constitution of a rubber dam compared to the concrete? Basically, just I will not go much in depth of the technicalities, but in a nutshell, that I can say that because the another question always comes into picture is that how do you do that? How cost effective? And what are the advantage and disadvantage? All such questions always comes basically. So what really this rubber flexi dam is needing is the concrete is always, the foundation is always the same. Basically, there is no different at all. So you need a base concrete foundation is same as what we used to have the check dams of concrete basically. Then we need a sidewalls, pillars, which needs to be useful for the anchoring of this rubber dams, rubber sheets basically. Then the rubber coated fabric, it looks it's a coated fabric, but in fact there is lots of research has been put up by IRMRA to optimize the technical textile specifications. The technical textiles which needs to be developed in such that to take care of the hydrological load which apply on it actually, because rubber is a weak material and it is a protective material as a coating materials. Rubber do have the strength, but the most of the strength for such application is always come from the textile material, including your tires. For example, your tires, belts, all those materials are rubber products which are a composite material in nature basically. So as a rubber technologist basically, so we need to study the composite product as a whole basically. So the reinforcement comes from the technical textiles basically. So the technical textile specifications which is suitable for the water head, depending upon the height of the dam and the water level, how much is going to be there. So the pressure develops the entire strength on the dam basically. So there is a need for the calculation of such things so that the rubber the composite withstand that particular pressure and all the things basically. And then the clamping the plates and bolts, anchoring bolts, which is also important. When a force of water comes basically, the anchoring should not come out of that. Then definitely that is the beauty of placing this check dams basically. So then the piping arrangement for water inlet. People say that basically can it be done with the air or any other materials? So water is the resource over there, and have a pump, and then that automatically it can so we can always have that resource, whatever is available resource is good basically. So with the water pump we try to manage that, and you need a proper gauge and all the things basically to monitor the pressure. And so it is nothing but is a fabric reinforced rubber bag which can be inflated and deflated, so by water of course. So what is really happening is that your height can be increased or decreased, which is adjustable. So now in case of your concrete dams, the height cannot be increased or decreased, so it is a fixed. So by any means, if there is any force, external force, and break your concrete, that's it. So you need to throw it out, and you have to wait for long time for you to replace basically. Whereas here it is easy. It also flexible. So with the pressure, it always bent upon, and it takes shocks and absorptions, so that the water flows over the the dam basically. And if there is a more water, definitely if there is a more pressure, you can release the pressure so that more water is flowing on that, so that you are able to. So that is the flexible opportunity is given to this basically. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, so this is how the anchoring mechanism, which is you can have a single anchoring as well as double anchoring system basically. So the process of the construction, the main thing is that you have to select the right location basically. You cannot place a dam which is a corner or slope, etc. So you need to have a strategic location. So is the most important is the location of the things, and also you have to analyze the soil conditions basically. Riverbed, soft or rocky soil, etc. You have to analyze basically. If it is a rocky soil, it is easy to construct. But otherwise, if it is muddy and other things, basically, the structure will not be very things basically. So one has to be very careful. Yeah. Next slide. No problem. Yeah. Next slide. Next one. So when we do this anchoring, this needs to be rigid structure basically. Yeah. So the construction of this wall and pillars etc. for that is basically in order to put this particular things needs to be rigid structure. So that is where the calculation of the other thing. So most of the time basically the calculation goes as the almost equal cost basically. If it is a larger size, the rubber dam is works out to be a little cheaper, whereas for a medium dams basically the cost wise is only almost same like the civil, but the only advantage which you get is the flexibility. So flexible dams is always preferred than the concrete dams basically, which is important to note that basically. So the manufacturing of coated fabric is again is kind of technology wherein that like you need a huge infrastructures, mostly the tire industry or the belt industry or the coated fabric industry, they have it. So there are manufacturers who are very well known, and in fact IRMRA has developed this technology and given to the some TOT has been given to a selected the suppliers who are able to do this basically. So we have monitoring mechanism for ensuring the quality. We do have that. So inspection and testing and qualification criteria and all, we do that. So that is very important basically. Otherwise one can always play with it and then it can miserably fail also basically. So the fabrication of metallic strips and other anchoring materials as per the design, we need to do that. Then embedding this anchoring mechanism and plumbing work, all those things need to be properly constructed and planned basically. So installation of rubber coated fabric is a profile cut shape basically. So one has to go to the site and then do that because it's a huge materials. So the transportation is a problem, and so if you want to have a it's a contour product, so you need to have a fabric which rolled, so it needs to be transported when we talk about that. So that is where so one has to have a art of collecting, going there and then placing it and then cutting and then placing. So it, of course, our scientists are well versed with those kind of technology of anchoring and all that basically. Next slide please. Next slide. Yes. So this is how the thing basically. So anyway, this is already been shown that earlier also. So of course this award and all you have already seen that basically. So next slide. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the challenge which we faced is that here finding out the right partner for the right to the technical textiles. So we had one of the manufacturer for technical textile. Then we have IRMR is a rubber partner, and the Water Technology Center for evaluating the dam, and CIRCAT was one of the another partner for as an advisor to the technical textiles. So these are the consortium project which we had done. And now, of course, we are able to scale up at a higher level by doing the best calculation of exaggerating the the size and other things which we validated, and it's quite satisfactorily. Yeah. Next slide, please. So this is of course lots of awards wherein that basically it was recognized and published in the public. This thing basically. One of the important thing is that this technology was tested at IIT Bombay and evaluated over the next few slides. You can see that. So next slide. Yeah. So this is the slide where the information. So what we did that, like we have tied up with there was a consortium advisory committee wherein that like one Professor Yellow of Civil Engineering Department of IIT Bombay was associated. So we have created a artificial channel and structure wherein that like we have created like all kind of testing protocols we have created, and see that like we generated the the water flow at a different rate of water flow, and see how the behavior of the flexible dam was there. So all such things we tried to do that, and then we got it validated from IIT. So this is one of the thought like basically share that information. Yeah, next please. Next slide. And through which we had a good amount of publicity also we have done. And a couple of slides I would like to showcase now. Next slide. Yeah. So these are some of the publications in various rubber journal and newspaper. Yeah. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah. Some of the publications scientifically we have done publications. Yeah. Next. Next, please. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the the state of the so we have been trying to showcase such requirements and which advantage of such dams to the public and the agricultural place and the authorities, so that one can always use this technology for their area and then develop this. So those who knows the analyze understand these things, the NGOs are coming and approaching us to develop that. So that's the one good thing, good sign that like under this Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we are really working on that visions. I'm happy that after these particular things, we are also trying to work with the Shobhit University, wherein that basically we have a startup entrepreneurship in under agriculture sector. Basically, Professor Moni has given the concern that we can work together to see that how IRMRA can work in this particular things. Our technology can be used by agriculture sectors to do that. So this kind of tie-up is always we work with that, so that we can be a part of the contribution to this Atmanirbhar Bharat agriculture sector. Actually, next slide, please. So Manish. Yeah, so there are, if you Google it, you will find so many, rubber dam usage basically. So previous slide, please. If you see that, like recently, when I was telling basically, Shri Yogi Adityanath ji has gone to, where in that like near Taj Mahal, there was a rubber dam, check dams were used, and there is an announcement that is going to use more number of check dams are being used basically. And similarly, you get lots of, the Bangladesh, China, various sectors which they have been using that basically. In Kerala also there are a couple of dams are introduced. So Professor Moni also has given that basically. So what I mean to say here is basically now this is the one which we have developed the scaling up of bigger size basically. Wherein that like the Ministry of Jal Shakti, central government has given a project as a sample project for the larger size, which is about 15 meters, larger size in a, it's very close by to the Nagpur basically. So we have it is under construction. After that, it is finished. Next slide, you will find how it looks like basically. It was under construction. We have taken the photograph, completely designed by IRMRA. So now this is how we just installed, and it could not be inaugurated, but by the time the pandemic was announced and the lockdown was announced, and then rain has come, so but it took its own shape basically. So then after the raining season, then our scientists have gone and examined that, so automatically it got tested. So our people are well placed. I'm very happy to say that basically the dam was well commissioned and installed, and it has been utilized. So this gives us the confidence that 15 meters long of 2 meter height in two sections of 7.5 each basically. So now so much of water it is able to store now basically. The advantage is that even the concrete dam was there basically. On the top of it, the road is going on. It is a river which is going flow down, wherein that now this particular height can be increased, decreased basically. So similar wherever the across the country, wherever such opportunities, we must place this basically. There is nothing, it costs little bit, but doesn't matter. But that will store the water. So we are not allowing the water to move to the the ocean basically. So we must stop that basically. So if you see basically, India is being a largest country for agriculture. The only question is the water is the one important resource needs to be well managed, so that the agricultural productivity can be easily doubled. There is no problem. One of the way is this Flexi rubber dam, which will definitely boost up basically. It is not double, it could be even triple basically. So because there are other ways of means of things are already being in place by way of through the mission basically, water management mission. This is one way of introducing it. Of course, it can be easily managed basically. Next slide, please. Now coming to the topic, which is very close to the thing basically. So So use of rubber dam in check dams, not only for the irrigation purpose. It can be storing a water supply, power generation, I told you, tidal barriers, for better control of flood and drought. Now, when you talk about the control of flood and drought, there the ecosystem comes into picture basically. When you talk about the ecosystem basically, and you see that the coastal ecosystem basically, the huge amount of flood, we feel that basically whenever the cyclone is formed, the national disaster system is really, they are all, on tour, they go and do that, but basically, but these are the basic infrastructure which we can have it, which will definitely minimize the risk and improve the, the easiness of the good, quality of life, which can be restored very fast basically. If you look at some of the slides, I will show you the basically. So, the groundwater recharging is another area where if the water is stored, definitely it gets recharged. Then those people who are taking from the bore well or what, the well, etc., definitely gets recharged, and there is going to be a, improvement in the ecosystem basically. So the water availability is more, and then it easily to, then the agriculture productivity definitely is going to improve basically. So these are some of the important things which I just would like to share. Now, another point is that various rubber are the check dams, if not rubber or the check dams, already got broken up. There are a lot of broken dams are there basically. Now it's very difficult to go and do the replace basically. So we are trying to develop a system where that basically it can be, with the very minimal things one can go and plug it basically. So that is another type of research we are interested to do that basically, including not having a flexi dams in the testing, but we can also have the basic structure also can be done basically. That is another type of thing basically. Next slide, please. So these are some of the specifications which we optimized: tensile strength, elasticity, flexibility, ozone resistance, weather resistance, abrasion resistance. So these are some of the technical parameters which we ensure that the properties of the specific rubber and the material components used for manufacturing is well in advance. Now we are also planning to have a standardization of it so that the quality ISA marking can also be given on this specific. So this is another way of working with this, the technology system which we are working on. Next slide, please. Now you see, I was talking about that, the advantage of rubber dam, which I told you already: perfect sealing in, no leakage, and light structure, and then clean operation, no hydraulic oil required. It is only you need to work, we can manage with the water. Installation cost is marginally lesser than the conventional dam. Easy to do that basically. So also these are of course, so there is no handling, also becomes very easy. So the better water conservation, soil erosion can be avoided, flood control can be avoided. So what really happened if your dam is checked, the concrete dam is very strong enough, then the flood will take away the water, soil also along with it. Whereas in this case, once you open the gate by way of deflating it, the water, the soil erosion also can be avoided, so they minimize the thing. So there are a lot of advantage, which is intangible benefits which during these particular things. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. Overlapping. Yeah. So I try to do that. Of course, the traditional check dam advantages basically. So rubber dam is always having over, beneficial to that. So rubber body can be damaged by vandalism, which of course precautions one has to take it. Sharp objects should be avoided basically, and but of course we are able to do that, manage that. Some of the basic things, including we have tested with the beer bottle or some branches of the trees which may come and flood. So all such things we have tested. We try to simulate such a laboratory the testing conditions, and we try to do those kind of things basically. Next slide, please. Now, when you come to the rain-fed area, basically, so here so water harvesting and the management is the need of the hour. Especially if you look at it, the 60% of the India's agricultural agri-land is rain-fed dependent, rain dependent. So in such case, what really happen is basically this kind of installing the Flexi check rubber dams technology could help improving the water storage capacity and not only the storage capacity, but also the regulation of such thing basically. So slowly you can release it. For example, if you have a small village wherein that like you may have about let us say 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers of the the surrounding area, and in a canal, if one person is drilling the water over there, the other person will say that there will be a lot of fight against it. So here we can have a every 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer, we can have stoppage, and both of them will be beneficial basically. So in all the respect, the farmers will be more happy to regulate the water storage and water management in this case basically. So in all such rainfed areas basically, so apart from the single usage, means that the during the rainfall is okay, but after the rainfall, during the summer season especially, so this is the way it can definitely improve the harvesting of water and managing it basically. Next slide basically. So, as you all come to know, of course, Professor Moni has already given lots of information about productivity. So, 87 mega hectares basically is India is #1 in agriculture sectors and all things. Basically, we know that. But the only problem is that it is most of the area is rain dependent. Basically. So that means if we are having so much of resource with the one single crop, most of the area, so single crop can be converted into the double or triple crops basically, where definitely the purpose of agricultural Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture sector can be easily achieved. The only way is again to manage the flood during the flood stage, and then the drought stage, managing the water scarcity. So the climatic conditions, because India is having a very, very complex climatic conditions basically, as you all know basically. When Bihar is flooding, Maharashtra is calm basically, and similarly when Maharashtra is flooding other part of the, so we have different kind of situations, different climatic situations. The only problem is somewhere rather it is hitting and damaging like anything. Water is damaging at those particular time, later on it just flood away basically, and that's the way basically. So the managing such a situation is one of the ways, of course, is this particular Flexi rubber dam. That's what I try to say that, and wherever it is done, they are happy, they are able to showcase that the productivity is increased, and they then the poverty is gone away, and employment opportunities come up basically. So all kind of improvement in their system is there. So the entire ecosystem is definitely revamped basically. So this is a opportunity for improving the crop productivity enhancement actually. Yeah, next slide please. So this is how basically, so you see here some place flooded water, in some place it is the broken structure and watersheds, check dams, but later on there was no, so when the raining comes, water will flow away basically. So the point is, if we can have multiples of such things, even if one got broken away, the other will protect the thing basically. So water will not go away basically. So having multiple check dams at different level, which having a flexi dam, so definitely will improve the storage capability and capacity and managing things basically. That's what I need to emphasize here basically. As I told you, I'm not an agriculturalist, but I try to get some of these things basically to distinguish how do we manage the flood, which is useful with the technology of river flexi dam. At the same time, how it is useful during the drought when there is no rain basically. So both the conditions it is able to manage. So the flexi dam is useful in all the seasons basically, and of course the purpose of doubling or tripling the income of foreign the farmers basically. Next slide please. Similarly, if you look at that the rainfed area basically, so irrigation is the highest margin productivity. So that's what basically I say basically. So once if you are able to increase the the one is, obviously we are all trying with all the traditional practice, but having done this special equipment with this kind of system basically, And once they know how to operate and how to manage, basically, the water harvesting will definitely, it is going to be called supplemented irrigation system, basically. So once it is supplementing your irrigation system, which is through additional incremental water, supplementary irrigation system, which definitely manage the summer season, so-called the drought situations, can be easily, able to give the productivity when the farmers are equipped with this kind of thing. So check dam, rubber check dam, flexi check dam is one of the equipment useful for supplemental irrigation system. Just like, there are several systems they are using, like, drop irrigations, wells. So all those things, this is another way of, introducing it for managing things. So by doing so, that the productivity can be, like rice can be threefold, or, the pulses can be fourfold. These are the, so once it is done, definitely Indian economy also will be very, very, improved, boost up, basically. That's the advantage of this. Next slide, please. Now the rainfed area, basically, so the coastal areas very frequently suffer from the climatic disaster like cyclone, which I was telling, basically. So now, including the seas like tsunami and other things, basically. So disturbance is happening, basically. So there are rainfed area gets affected, including this, the coastal areas, which is very, very, badly affected. So how this Flexi check dams can be helpful for that? We will see in the next 2 to 3 couple of slides, and then we will be summing it up, actually. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah. So the coastal states, I think Professor Moni has said that basically there are 7,516 kilometers, of coastline, basically, including about 1,197 kilometers of Indian islands, which, touching all the islands, basically. So what is basically, so India is largely having such things, basically. So, but in all the coastal area, that the ecosystem is quite different, basically. So that is where the system is to be managed. So the problem is that the area of that farmers are very, very, small, or their, their livelihood itself is a problem, and they suffer a lot because of the cyclone. They take away everything, and nothing is left out. So every year they feel this kind of, left alone. So one of the idea is that to manage the water flood, even those areas, how do we minimize such damages, basically? So of the, the flexi dams could be operational for such things. Just next slide, you can see that. Next slide, please. You can see that, so this is a kind of, rubber sheets which has the inflating ends, basically, and these are of course in abroad, it's available. So what happens, basically, it is in the coastal areas we can lay down, basically, where the flood is likely to come up, basically. So this could be a weapon of flood management systems, because a disaster management system, basically. And once it is inflated, you will find that very nicely, managed with that. Can you get into the next slide? Next slide, please. You see, this is how, huge, the water flood can be managed, basically. So once you have inflated and water is managed. The next slide, it is a longer dam in the Korea, basically. Now you see, this is another part of, this slide, deflated and inflated. Now what happened? It is taking its own shape of, the things. So you are increasing the height. So you can increase 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter height. So to that extent of water can be stored. So the direct hitting of the people, the livelihood and those shelters, all those things can be protected. The only thing is that we need to plan strategically such that, in fact, a lot of people make island through these rubber inflatable things, basically. They make their floating house at the same time they are protected from this thing also. So this is another way of making it. So of course it is all geographic specific. So if there are places where it is the system suits, and this can be one of the way to manage the flood, basically. So it could be like every year we are giving the flood relief fund. So if you are able to make once this kind of things, definitely another ecosystem we can create, and that will be, so you can protect the land, that will protect the people, protect the agricultural productivity, agricultural crops, and no damage of the things, soil erosion protection, so everything. So this is in a overall ecosystem. So Flexi rubber dam is more flexible to operate and adopt, and hence the adoption of such Flexi dams is helping farmers in enhancing the productivity of crop and enhancing the income. Obviously, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture sector is going to be there. With this, I think I would be happy to close and answer any of such queries, and thank again once again Professor Moni for for such a wonderful opportunity for giving me, and if, I would welcome any of the stakeholders or interested man, women, or anybody who is interested to NGO specialist, government officials, inspectors, or the disaster management team. Anybody wants to come and take the help of IRMRA to disseminate this technology, and you make use of it for improving the ecosystem, improvement, and adoption of such a technology for potential benefit. So there is a huge potential which we need to tap it. That is my ultimate submission and a request. And once again, I thank you very much for such an opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajkumar, for your very encouraging and wonderful, address to the audience. You have given a very clear message. There is a technology, patented technology, in the under the caption of flexible, rubber check dam, and you also given that it can be used for the effectively for agro ecosystem, and you can control the flood, and you also can save water. So we have a scheme, per drop more crop. Now you have given another slogan: lock every drop of water wherever it is possible. And every 5 to 6 kilometers or 5 to 10 kilometers, you construct the flexible rubber dam, so that the water can be saved. And this is the message which you have given. You have given a complete, this is a path. It is not the waves. Normally people will talk about pathways, but you have given a path. You have extended the path to show that, and this area can generate new jobs, new employment opportunities, new startups, and you have an internationally recognized technology center of more than 6 decades of developmental aspect, and it has to be effectively utilized. Thank you very much, and this is a very important topic. And before I invite our Honorable Chancellor, I also would like to inform you that there is a message has come from Dr. Ashok Dalwai, CEO of National Rainfed Area Authority. He is also the chairman of the Doubling the Farmers' Income by 2022. That Professor Moni, please send me the technologies which are being talked in this lecture. We will use it. We will adopt it in National Rainfed Area Authority. It is a big message, which has come today. That for this topic, he also said it is a good topic. So I think it is a good recognition, and you have proved it. And if the technology is available, every drop of water has to be locked. That's what the message you have given. That even the government has got a scheme that per drop more crop, but you said that you lock the every drop of water for the benefit of agriculture, farming, and so on and so forth, every aspect. So thank you very much. Now it is a time to have the address by the Honorable Chancellor, Shri Kunwar Shekhar Vijendra, and I would like to introduce him to the audience. That Shri Kunwar Shekhar Vijendra is the co-founder and Chancellor of Shobhit Institute of Engineering Technology, Meerut, a deemed to be university, and Shobhit University, Gango, Uttar Pradesh. He is a prominent social entrepreneur based in New Delhi and carries leadership role in many organizations. He has been nominated as the co-chairman of National Council on Education of ASSOCHAM, the oldest apex chamber of commerce in India for the year 2020 and 2021. Shri Kunwar Vijendra is a persistent advocate of issues, namely education for all, secular values, crisis management through diplomatic and peaceful ways, and globalized system of learning, and harmonious coexistence. He has been instrumental in the development of a number of higher educational institutes in North India, including 2 universities, many research centers, an Ayurveda Medical College, College of Naturopathy, and yogic sciences, and a 100-bed, Ayush hospital. He is also instrumental and visionary for establishing 4 centers of excellence, namely Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies is the first in the world, and second, Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies. Third, Center for Informatics Development Solution and Application, the first in the world in the private sector, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and applications. To develop competency and entrepreneurship among the rural youths to adopt technology in rural development for raising rural economy of rural India. He has traveled widely in India and abroad to the countries like USA, UK, Germany, Australia, Russia, China, South Korea, Vietnam, Mongolia, UAE, Mauritius, Rwanda, Uganda, and Croatia, etc., to participate in various professional, social, and educational activities. He is very actively involved with a number of social organizations. Acknowledging his contribution in the areas of education and other concerns, he has been copiously honored and awarded. Shri Kunwar Vijendra is a passionate Gandhian, avid reader, keen learner, social worker, and occasional poet and the dreamer. We welcome you, Honorable Chancellor, to give your valedictory address in the National Webinar Series on Doubling Farmers' Income by 2022, and a very important topic, which normally many of the educational institutions will not even like to host it. And this is adoption of flexible rubber check dam for potential income for the farmers, to raise the potential income for the farmers in the Rainfed agro-eco system and coastal agro-eco systems. Even though we mentioned two agro-eco systems, but he has said it that the entire India needs it. Every 5 to 6 kilometers distance, you create a flexible rubber check dam. Over to the Honorable Chancellor.
Thank you very much, Professor Moni, and thank you, Dr. Rajkumar. It was such a wonderful and informative deliberation today and a presentation. Honestly, as you were mentioning that you are not an agriculture scientist, the same way neither I am an agriculture scientist, nor I was aware of the availability of these rubber check dams. So thank you very much. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be a part of these knowledge enhancing webinars organized by our Center for Agriculture Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies. Thank you, Professor Moni, for all your efforts and your persistency to ensure that through technology, through sharing the knowledge and wisdom, we can add to the income of the farmers as envisioned by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Bhai Modi ji. When I was looking at the topic of the day, adoption of Flexi rubber check dam technology and its potential benefits for farmers in rain-fed and coastal agro ecosystems. So I was trying to understand that what is the role of this institution, which was earlier an association, now an institution in this field. And I was really happy to know that it is one of the key player in this area and the one of the most important institution which is working in this direction in the country. And it is a privilege for all of us to have the director of such an important organization with us. So thank you again. When we look at this doubling farmers' income by 2022, many people feel how it can be done. If it can be done by using only agri-tech, or it can be done by developing agri-tech, or it can be done by having some softwares or mobile apps. No, it cannot be done alone by that. It can be done by practical things like having these rubber check dams. Because if we look at the details, Professor Moni must have mentioned in his initial introduction, as per the United Nations report, which has been released very recently on 21st of this month itself, it says that all major big dam owning countries, that the life of these dams is alarming and they have to find alternate solutions to ensure that their irrigation system and other agriculture system remain effective. So definitely we have to come for new solutions. Professor Moni again mentioned about many of the states of the country: Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Jharkhand, and Odisha. So surprisingly, Uttar Pradesh was missing out of that. I do not know intentionally Professor Moni did it so that you are more motivated to come with us and start doing something, or if it is happening, it is very unfortunate. India, Uttar Pradesh is such an important state where all these solutions we have to have. And I'm happy that Shobhit University is hosting this webinar. I am sure that stakeholders, policymakers, decision makers, they must be listening to you today. Or if they were not able to listen to you due to any reason, we will ensure to send them the recording of the day to see that it happens in our state also. Because when the country list was there were countries like Japan, Austria, Philippines, Australia, US, China, Russia, Thailand, and Canada. So again, there are many such countries where it has to be there, it should be there, but it is not there, fine, it will be there again. Professor Moni and you both, you were talking about per drop more crop. And your emphasis was every drop of water is important. It is. And this message has to be given to the world. Because in India, 60% of total net sown area is under rain-fed lands, around 60%. Where this technology, these particular rubber check dams, they can do wonders. If we look at the impact of adoption of this technology, which has no rocket science, it just need a motivation to do the things, and it can be done anywhere. It's not like that it cannot be done here or it can be done there only. It can increase crop production, it can crop diversification and cropping intensity. And can turn the complete income cycle of the farmers towards a positive side. When we look at, when we say that economy weaker will be there, how it will come? It will come when these technologies, which are adaptable, which are accessible, which are affordable, they will be used by masses, by everybody. And I am sure that the government in the coming budget, when they are talking about agriculture technology, they will not only talk about ICT. because this is very important to understand. Nowadays, what is happening, whenever there is a technology word will come, people feel that it is digital, it is ICT only. On the field, what has to be done, nobody is talking about. And to double the income of the farmers, it is not a 50-meter race. It is a 10-kilometer marathon. Because 50-meter race, you can start and it is finished. But for 10-kilometer marathon, you have to prepare. You have to equip everybody with the right environment. Platform has to be given. Equipment has to be given. Training has to be given with dedication, inspiration, and aspiration. And I am sure that these technologies which are existing in our country, when I look at that first time in Odisha when it was done in 2014, you people did it. When in 16 it was done in Uti, people were talking about, oh, in South also somebody has done this thing. But why it is not happening everywhere? 6 years back, you did it in Odisha, it should have been everywhere there. So that has to be seen, and it is a financially also economical solution for the government. Also, it is an economical solution. So we have to see that such technologies, such solutions are adopted not only by individuals, NGOs, organizations, but by the government also. Because I was surprised to see that the life cycle of these rubber check dams is more than traditional check dams, with their efficiency, more possibility, and more economical models are there. So I am sure that today's discussion will go a long way. And once now you are an institution, so your job is not only to talk about it, your job is to train also. And I'm looking forward that
Yes, sir.
how Shobhit University
Sure.
and your institution can join
Definitely.
hands to start some programs. They may be
Definitely.
micro certifications, they may be online certifications, they may be
Yeah.
aware programs, they may be internships, whatsoever way we
Yes.
can. Let us do
Sure.
it. Professor
Definitely.
Moni, I will really appreciate that if that possibility is discussed. And whatever presentation was there today, it was very elaborate, very detailed. Let it go to our students of agriculture. Let it go to the masses. Let them understand it. Let them ask questions more and more. Let them come back to us with a request that we want to go to this institution to learn more. So I'm looking forward for a long association. It is not one day to our
Yes.
event. It is
Same
a
here, sir. Yeah.
lifelong relation where we all have to come together. We both the institution have to come together to ensure that we can also contribute in the development of our nation, in doubling the income of our farmers, and in contributing in overall enriching the agriculture ecosystem of the country. Thank you very much. It was a
Thank you
pleasure
very much.
indeed
Thank you.
to listen to you today.
Pleasure meeting you. Sir. Yeah.
Namaste.
Thank you very much for your very, encouraging valedictory address, and also note that institutional collaboration is very important. And this is a technology which is needed for every part of the country. And during the initial introduction, I was mentioning that some of the important areas where we had webinars, like smart hill agriculture, it is needed like anything. Every village in hill area is needed, tribal area is needed. So that's why, when you said it that we have to lock the word drop, I thought that that is an important message which has to convey to the whole country. And it can generate a lot of opportunities. And you also nicely said it, flood relief fund. Why can't use this flood relief fund to create this one, so that next time when the flood takes place, it is already relief is taken over. Relief is done at the grassroots level. So I think it is very important. I appreciate the idea which is given by the Honorable Chancellor that our two institutions should join together. And I also would like to convey to the Honorable Chancellor that Dr. Rajkumar has joined, and he also participated, and he is also sponsored, the 2014 international conference on bridging the development gaps in through human resources in digital India, Make in India, and Stand Up program. This was the first time. It was a big conference which we organized in Meerut, the campus, where he was not able to come, but he sent his deputy to participate, and he also sponsored that conference. So thank you very much. Our long association, let it go through with the technology product which is available. But I see that even though Honorable Chancellor said it, that Uttar Pradesh is many, eastern part of Uttar Pradesh and Bundelkhand, you have a water problem, but in western part is flooding water. So both of the entire Uttar Pradesh has to have every 5 kilometers. We have to have such type of check dam, rubber flexi rubber check dam is essential. So with this, I thank both the Honorable Chancellor and the our guest speaker today, Dr. Rajkumar, and it is a big day for India, for our national webinar series, and also that it has attracted the National Rainfed Area Authority. It's very we are very thankful, and we will look forward for collaboration and cooperation. With this, we close the seminar, and I thank all the participants, and very for their joining. And for more research inquiries, please contact Professor Moni, Professor Emeritus and Chairman, and former General, National Informatics, Central Government of India, New Delhi. Email address Shobhit University. Thank you very much. You leave the.
Thank you very much. Thank you.